This is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, coming in live from Madison, Wisconsin, the state capital here in Wisconsin, where groups of individuals are protesting Governor Tony Evers' extension of his order to stay at home, or safer at home as it's been called in our state. And we're just going to go around and talk to folks and ask them what brings them here and how the order has impacted them. Fear does not stop death, it stops life. So I take it you're not happy with Governor Evers' orders then, right?
No, I think he's done a really poor job of collaborating with the legislature. He's not very transparent with the data, and that is a big issue for me. I think he needs to do more collaboration with the legislature and get the data out there, because all of a sudden he changes everything, extends things for 6 weeks, and he can't show us the data. Show us the data. I think people are reasonable and we understand it, but we can't go on like this. Look at all the people out here today. I mean, there's people that are really hurting. Government can't take care of you as well as you can take care of yourself.
Isn't it ironic that the Democratic Party, that claims to be the party of science because of climate change, and they think that they have the scientific consensus, yet when it comes to these orders, we don't see any medical and scientific justification to keep them closed down. Do you think that this is really more about power on the part of Evers and other Democratic governors? They just want to trample on people's rights? Or do you think that that these orders might reduce that curve, so to speak, like Fauci and other Democrats have been saying?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm a medical person, and I will be honest with you. There is, for the first 30 days, I'm okay. This is a novel virus. I'm okay with that. But now it's getting political. When you have lack of transparency with the data in our state, there's a problem with that. If you guys need help with something, they need to be saying it rather than pointing fingers and blaming each other. We're not going to be able to get our economy back on track. This is not sustainable, and more people are going to die. I have friends, they can't go in, they can't get heart surgery, they can't get CT scans for follow-up for their cancer or MRI scans. I mean, it's not just affecting people that with COVID, it's other people too. And in our hospitals in Wisconsin, they're furloughing a lot of nurses. And doctors are furloughing too, the same thing. And our hospitals are not at capacity.
So what are your thoughts about abortion clinics being considered essential services? Those are open, but a lot of these elective medical procedures, like you mentioned, they're closed. You can't schedule those appointments now.
My thought is abortion is elective. They're wasting the PPE, the personal protective equipment. If you need personal protective equipment to take care of sick people, then we shouldn't be doing abortions. That's my thought exactly.
Okay, thank you so much. Take care. God bless.
I don't know what the future holds, but I'd rather face the virus than starvation. And people don't think that could happen.
Absolutely. We've seen reports that places like Santa Clara County, California, and LA County, California, they're finding more antibodies when they test people. In other words, they got the coronavirus, they didn't even know that they got it, and they recovered from it. Yeah. So if we just let this thing take its course, herd immunity, we just recover, and then we can reopen the state quicker. But when we close down, we're just prolonging this.
Absolutely.
So do you think that Governor Evers wants to keep... do you think Governor Evers is actually trying to make us sicker, or do you think that in his twisted thinking, perhaps, that this order will actually work to decrease that curve, so to speak?
I don't know what's in Governor Evers' mind, but his track record toward the Constitution with the red flag laws he was presenting and stuff, I'm seeing a pattern there with him, a socialist pattern, and I will say he's consistently scary.
Consistently scary. Thank you so much. Take care and God bless. This is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, and I'm here with Christy Lombard, who's protesting against Governor Tony Evers' order to stay at home in Wisconsin. Christy, thank you for being here today. So what are your thoughts about Governor Evers' order that's been extended now through May 26th?
Well, I think it's a bad thing, Christian. But one of the things that disturbs me about it most is that we're being forced into a false choice. The people of Wisconsin are being told that the choice is between protecting the health of some and our own selfishness. That we have to choose between a small group of people who may be strongly affected by this illness, which is a very limited group of people, and the rest of us. And frankly, what he's really done is he's chosen for us. He's imposed a choice on us between the right of some families to exist and the privilege of others to exist. He's drawn a line. He said, some of you have a right, some of you only have a privilege, which I can take away at will. That's not acceptable. We have equal protection under the laws. He needs to knock it off.
Absolutely. What gives Tony Evers the constitutional authority to do any of this stuff?
He has zero constitutional authority to do that, Christian.
Yeah, so we heard from some nurses and some doctors that were speaking here earlier about how all these so-called elective surgeries and procedures are closed off, and now this one family doctor has to see people for dentistry, for their pulmonary lungs and so forth. What are your thoughts about the abortion clinics being open? They're essential, but those who need to get checks for asthma, they can't see their pulmonary doctor.
Well, it just goes to show you, Christian, that this is an entirely arbitrary set of distinctions that have been made, and that there is a worldview at work in this building right now, and that the worldview is dictating who should have certain rights, who shouldn't, what things should be open, what things shouldn't, what things are good, and what things are bad. And the problem with that is that one man, one administration, shouldn't have the right to determine all of that for the entire body of Wisconsin residents.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
Do you think the governor's order should be rescinded as soon as possible?
What is this mayhem about? Why would he extend it from the 24th of one day to the 26th of May? What is this going to do? Absolutely nothing. There's no phase one here in Wisconsin. Everybody else is doing elective surgeries. I work in hospitals. I was just talking to this gentleman. There's not a single solitary orthopedic surgery happening right now. So anybody who is having elective surgery, they're not sitting at home like hopefully skipping around the house waiting for a knee and hip to be replaced. My dad is 75 years old. He has lost probably 18 pounds in the last 2.5 months. He can't eat. They won't give him enough pain medications because they have to be tracked and monitored, your pain medications. So he has a walker right now. He can't even weight bear on his hip. He can't sleep. This is not an elective thing. People are elderly that need hip and knee replacements. People are suffering at home. Elective doesn't mean having a facial surgery or a freaking boob job. It means people are like suffering from Crohn's disease. They can't have these surgeries. People with cancer can't even go in to see if their tumors are being shrunk. So they don't have the reassurance of, am I getting better? Is this chemo, is the radiation working? That is not part of this.
So this order is having more medical harm than it is actually helping and saving any lives then?
I call on every hospital in southeastern Wisconsin, and nurses are not working. They're sitting at home, they're furloughed. At Freighted Hospital, they are not even at 50% of their staff. So doctors who do orthopedic surgeries, those surgeons are sitting at home. They'll have a fracture here and there. If it's a not severe compound fracture, they won't even operate. They'll send them on their way.
Absolutely. One of the reasons why Governor Evers issued the order in the first place was because he thought the hospitals were going to be overwhelmed, and now we're seeing hospitals being underwhelmed.
They're going to go bankrupt. This is tragic on so many levels. Freighted is my biggest account. They're the helicopter level 4 trauma center. The nurses, the staff, they're so isolated. These patients are so far away from any patients that would be coming in for any other reason. My cousin works in the emergency department. They're sitting in the back rooms doing puzzles, playing games, playing cards, because they don't have anything to do. These patients aren't like flying in there. And every patient, they're encouraged to use the ICD-10 code, which is, what is your illness? So you come in with respiratory problems, you come in, you're 91 years old. Well, if you get coded as a COVID patient, thousands and thousands of dollars from the government will be brought to you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It's better to code a person as COVID virus because hospitals are bleeding money. UW, the VA, these guys are sitting at home. They're not even being helped right now. It's awful. The VA is empty. Every hospital is empty right now. We have more than enough capacity and ability to take care of people, but it's just everything is shut down. Everything.
This is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, and I'm joined here with Jessi Ebben, who's running for to challenge Democratic Congressman Kine here in Wisconsin for his seat. Jessi, thank you for being here today in Madison.
Yeah, thanks for being here as well and talking to everyone. I appreciate it.
So I heard you give a speech earlier, your remarks there. So what are your thoughts on Governor Evers' order now being extended through May 26th, so from being originally April 24th?
Yeah, and as I said just in my brief speech, I mean, this is about the voices of the people. You know, I'm working to be a representative of the people, and so really I've talked to almost 1,000 some people now, and they are very frustrated. These are their livelihoods at stake. You know, we need to look at the broad picture, and not just this extension of a month and hope things get better, but we have to look at a broad picture. This is having negative impact on people's livelihoods, on their income, if they're able to pay bills, support their family, their mental health. We're hearing a lot of sad stories of people really struggling with their mental health, domestic abuse. There's a lot of issues. Again, we need to look at that broad picture, and in the healthcare capacity as well, there's people that that can't get transplant surgeries. There's people that can't have preventative care that will, prevent them from having worse health conditions as we continue. So there's a lot that we have to look at a broad scope, and that's really what I'm asking for, and that's what the constituents are asking for.
So this stay-at-home order is doing more harm, potentially medically more harm than it is any good.
It could possibly be doing a lot of, I'm hearing stats right, people's eye care prescriptions, they can't get those updated. That might not seem as severe, but if someone relies on driving for their work, that could be a big deal. People's teeth care, their dental care, that's a big issue. Root canals, cavities, and that can cause some major abscesses as well. There's kind of these massive ripple effects, so it could be doing more harm than good. People that I've talked to, again, this is a lot of the voices of the people within western and central Wisconsin, has the cure become worse than the illness? That's a question that gets posed quite frequently. And when we look at the big picture, some people have been impacted more or less, but we've all been impacted by a loss of our freedoms.
Now, since you're running for Congress, what are your thoughts about the, now 4 bills that have been passed in Congress for coronavirus? Say there's been a lot of money and pork put into those. What are your thoughts about those stimulus packages? The third one exceeded $2.3 trillion, in addition to $4 trillion from the Fed and Treasury being injected into the economy, and now they just passed another one.
Yeah, I know we were talking about the national debt before all this happened, and that's a major concern of a lot of people is did we try to throw money at a problem, one that could have been prevented? Could we have gone about this smarter? And then the pork in the bill, that's just abhorrent because that shows, right, and it was on full display. If people haven't watched pork be thrown into bills before, they got to see it on full display. Everyone was watching this bill and what would be put into it, and we saw politics come to a head and lack of representation. Yeah.
Absolutely. We saw Schumer in the Senate trying to inject their climate change initiatives, trying to inject funding for Planned Parenthood, and of course that has nothing to do with the immediate issue at hand. Now, Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky, he has been calling for separate votes on standalone issues with regard to coronavirus, so we know exactly what's being voted on. What are your thoughts about that as well?
I respect Representative Massie for doing that. We should have this on record. We need to look at the specific votes and the content that's in it. And especially in times of crisis, our politicians shouldn't be playing games. Our representatives should not be politicians playing games. And so I'm glad he called for that. We should have government transparency. These are taxpayer dollars. I'm glad he called for that. I'm glad he spoke up. It's hard to be the solo voice, but I'm proud of him. I think we're all going to look at that in the past and thank him for calling for that, for at least calling for that.
And speaking of being a solo voice with Congressman Massie, he was also the solo voice when it came to asking for a recorded vote. What were your thoughts when Pelosi was trying to ram through that $2.3 trillion stimulus with no recorded vote? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, again, you just see the issues with long-term politicians with special interests. This was a big play of special interests, and it's shameful. It's shameful. You are a representative that is in your title, and you should be thinking about the people, not the special interests, not the people funding your campaign, not the pork in the bill, but what actually needs to be taken care of. What's the immediate action that needs to happen to take care of the American people?
So, Congressman Kind, does he represent the interests of Wisconsin voters in your district, or does he represent the interests of Nancy Pelosi?
He is lock and step with Nancy Pelosi, and he's been 94% with the squad as well. He's received more big pharma funding, just as much as big pharma funding as Nancy has, and he's been in there less time. So he's right alongside her in what he's looking for in the special interests that fund his campaign. And is he the voice of western and central Wisconsin? I would say not. Not from what I'm hearing from people, not from the frustrations of the people who have been asking for real answers from his office of what is going on. How can he help them? How can he provide better information, timely information, and proper funding? He has not provided answers that have been adequate. A lot of people are very disappointed in a congressman who is supposed to be representing them and has done so for 24 years. There's a lot of disappointment.
Now, you mentioned Big Pharma. Big Pharma has played a huge role in moving a lot of the manufacturing of our meds from the U.S. to China. If you are elected to the House of Representatives in Congress, what type of legislation would you push for with regards to the protection of our meds and the supply chain being currently held monopoly in communist China? What should Congress do to change that?
Yeah, and I've heard a lot from constituents or from voters of that they want that change. They want things back in-house. They want things back made in America where they have a little more trust. They have a lot more trust within our own country and how we take care of things, how we produce things. And that's just one, the pharma is just one issue of many products that we receive from China that we are not certain of how safe they are. We are not certain how soon we can get them. There's too many games being played, and if we can have them in-house, made in the USA, we'll be stronger for it. We can respond to crises better. We can have better regulation of our own drugs and produce better things and have that creative economy to race to have a cure for things.
What are your thoughts on President Trump's handling of the situation?
I think he's been dealt a tough hand, and I think he's doing a great job. My background is in public relations, crisis communications, and what he's been doing with his daily briefings, the team he has assembled, the amount of subject matter experts on that team that we see come forward and talk about certain things, that's what you're supposed to do. You need to have a sense of security in this time of crisis, and how he's employing that is by having that constant press conferences, going right to the people. People do not need to go to the media. They can go right to that press conference and hear right from the word of our leader. And that's big. He's showing consistency. He's giving dates. He's giving timelines. Sometimes we haven't met those goals. We haven't been at the point we want to be at those 2-week turnarounds. But we have something to look forward to. And that's where a lot of states have been missing, including our own, of what they've been struggling with is ambiguity. And that creates a lot of uncertainty and a lot of stress. And he's been doing a good job of trying to keep the calm of the nation in a very hard time.
Final question. There's been lots of concerns about privacy with regards to the shutdowns that's been going on. You can't go to see your neighbor. Like cities like in Milwaukee, you'll get a $500 ticket as a new ordinance that was passed just earlier this week. And of course, there's concerns about Google and Apple tracing or tracking individuals. What are your thoughts about these Fourth Amendment concerns that Americans have about big tech now having this larger role and power that they didn't have before this pandemic started?
Yeah, I think the Fourth Amendment, you said it right there, it's part of our Constitution. We should uphold it, and we should fight anything that infringes on that. And we saw that, back in 2001 with the Patriot Act. We saw a lot of those our rights given in that Patriot Act for security. Again,
the Patriot Act be revoked then?
I think we need to look at that, what it's done. I think even people who signed on to that have looked at it's gone too far. Even people who've authored that bill have said it has gone too far. That was not the original intent. But again, in times of crisis, in times of tragedy, we make emotional decisions, that we need to make logical decisions, uphold the Constitution, refer to that as the decision maker of where we make our decisions from. And there's a quote, and I don't have the exact quote, but I think it's Thomas Jefferson, and he talks about giving up security, to essentially fill your belly, or for a sense of security for your liberty. And are we really willing to give up our liberties for a sense of security?
This gentleman's sign here reads, "They who can give us essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Benjamin Franklin. So, sir, what brings you here to Madison today?
Well, just going to stand up for our rights, our liberty, the Constitution, because I think it's gone a little overboard. It's time to stand up and just not let them take away the freedoms and the liberties that is guaranteed to us by our Constitution. I am a veteran. My father was a decorated World War II vet. He put his life on the line in the South Pacific for the Constitution and for our right to choose and to exist and our freedoms to walk about. And I joined the Air Force in 81 and served 4 years, honorable discharge. And I'm very proud to be an American and proud to be a veteran, and just do not want to give up our freedoms.
Absolutely. So you and your father fought so we could be free, and here we have a governor who's extended these orders to prevent us from moving about and exerting our constitutional rights. So do you think that Governor Evers will heed these protesters here today and will open up Wisconsin, or do you think he's gone power crazy and he's going to extend this even beyond May 26th?
Well, first of all, I just want to correct one thing that you said. I was a Cold War vet, so I did not fight. I was not in combat. We were there. We would not have shirked the responsibility had we been called upon. But yes, I believe that that Governor Evers is just a puppet of the Democratic Party, and for them people to seize some power and take some liberties and freedoms away from us, I think is exactly what him and Nancy Pelosi would love to do.
If we don't stand up for our rights, we're going to lose them.
So with Governor Evers' orders, there can't be groups of 10 or more people in a place, which is basically shut down church services across the state of Wisconsin. Yet abortion clinics, Planned Parenthood, they can operate. What are your thoughts about that kind of hypocrisy?
Exactly. It is hypocrisy. I mean, you can't have elective surgeries in this country right now. You are in our state. People that need shoulder surgeries, or people that need even a carpal. I talked to a lady yesterday, a carpal tunnel surgery. People that have need knee surgeries, they cannot get them. But an abortion is considered essential. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Thank you so much. Take care. Stay healthy. God
Have
bless.
a great day.
You
God
too.
bless.
We are being pitted against each other right now. It's bringing out hate in people. We're getting ridiculed if you ask questions or disagree with what's happening right now. You're being told to sit down and shut up because your opinion does not matter. You're being told to listen to the professionals, but you know what? You shouldn't ever stop questioning those professionals. They don't live your life. They don't personally know you. They did not include you in this decision. We want a voice at their table. We weren't being listened to. So this is what happened when your voice is not heard. Rallies and protests happen. The hate that is going on the other side of this against us because we're questioning what's happened is not okay. It's not.
Amen.
I want to thank everyone who had a hand in helping with this rally. So many of us came together from all different sides of the political spectrum. I want to thank all of the co-hosts, the moderators who gave their time on the Facebook group, all the people who volunteered their time and resources to put this together, and especially just the physical and emotional support that went on behind this. I'm hoping this experience reshapes the way we think, treat, and empathize with each other, and we can start working together on this and not being left out. Know that you're not alone in how you feel. Take a look at all these people around you. They have your back.
How has this stay-at-home order affected your small business and the small businesses around your pet store in Appleton?
Well, my store is actually considered an essential business, so I'm open. Most of the stores in the downtown Appleton area are closed, except for a few restaurants that are just doing takeout. So it's been great for Uber Eats and Eat Streets, but as far as any of the other small businesses, they're all closed.
And do you think they could survive this shutdown much longer if it does in fact go through the 26th or beyond?
Oh gosh, no, absolutely not. We count, because we're on College Avenue, we count so much on the foot traffic, people coming down, people staying at the hotels, people visiting. We count so much on that traffic and those customers to come in that if we don't start having people in the downtown Appleton area soon, I can see probably a vast majority of them not being able to make it through until Christmas.
Are you afraid that if this goes on through Memorial Day weekend and Lord forbid the 4th of July even, that a lot of that holiday traffic, maybe even EAA itself, may not happen, and then that business not being generated in the Appleton and surrounding communities?
Absolutely. absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the stores don't make it through. For this to go until after Memorial Day is actually the kickoff of our summer shopping season. We have a lot of events downtown. We've got summer concert series, we have shopping events, we have all sorts of community events in downtown Appleton, and if those don't happen, we won't see any customers at all.
If you could tell Governor Evers a message shortly, if Governor Evers were right here, what would you want to tell Governor Evers?
I would tell Governor Evers that the people of Wisconsin are pretty smart people. We're pretty independent people, and we can decide for ourselves how many people is appropriate. We can maintain social distancing and help to cut down on the spread. But this was all intended initially to flatten that curve. I remember the vice president saying 15 days to flatten the curve, then 30 days to flatten the curve, and now it's we're going to stay closed until we cure this virus. Well, that's impossible. That is absolutely impossible to have everybody shut down. There won't be anybody left. There won't be any small businesses left. So he's decimating our economy.
Absolutely. Hopefully the stores will reopen soon and this order will get rescinded by the governor. Thank you so much. Take care and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. First thing I'd like to say is everyone wearing a mask, let's give them a round of applause. You know why? It's their choice. It's freedom. You can wear one or you don't have to wear one. A quote from Alexander Hamilton fits. Brothers and sisters of Wisconsin, when a government betrays the people by amassing too much power and becoming tyrannical, the people have no choice but to exercise their original right of self-defense to fight the government. I have a message for you, Mr. Evers. You know what? Independents, Democrats, and Republicans all own businesses. This event is bigger than politics. It's freedom and survival. My daughter wants to be a nurse, but the schools are closing and she's going to be affected by her education. Governor Evers, 400,000 Wisconsinites are unemployed. How many state employees have been terminated? Government is to be the servant, not the master. I only use Walmart as an example. You can go into Walmart and buy flowers, but you can't go to a florist. Tony, open up Wisconsin. Freedom allows us to buy alcohol from a tavern. Open up the taverns! Society in every state is a blessing, but government in its best state is but a necessary evil. That's from Thomas Paine, one of our founders. Freedom allows us to buy food from a restaurant. Open the restaurants! Open up! Open up! Open up! allows a man wearing a U.S. naval uniform to stand in the ocean protesting beach closures.
There you go.
Freedom allows us to go for cancer screenings, heart screenings, hip replacements, social screenings. Banning these appointments harms people. Delayed medicine. Is that what you want, Tony? Here's one from Thomas Jefferson. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Governor Evers has his boot on the neck of Wisconsin, and it needs to be removed. Human Services acting, get this, acting Secretary Andrew Palm, who issues all these rules, was never confirmed by the state senate and needs to be fired. As all of you drove down here today, you look around, you look in Madison, all the way down here. You know what you saw? Tony's tombstones. You know what that is? All his closed businesses. My time, and stop.
Hey, you got that right.
Open up the playgrounds. My kids want to play. Come on, our kids want to play.
If your business in your community opens before you think it should, stay home. It's your choice. It's freedom. If you want to go get a haircut, get a haircut.
Even the guy in the purple might be Steineke. Kathy's neighbor. Bald and looks like that. I can't tell from here.
This is a rally for our rights. Freedom allows us to enter a library if we want, to read, open the libraries. Freedom allows us to walk a dog in the dog park. Open the dog park.
Open him up. Open him up.
We're not criminals. We're not criminals. We want our freedom.
Freedom allows you to go to a state park. Open the state park.
Open him up.
Open up. Open up. Open up.
Open up.
Freedom is starting to have Hartford State City Council open their governments.
Open up.
County sheriffs are deciding not to follow his rules. The golden rule is coming down. Freedom allows us to visit a loved one in a nursing home, at least through a window. But even Tony didn't want that for a while. Freedom allows you to go to church on Easter if you want to. Freedom allows you to go to church if you want to. Or you don't have to. You can watch it over the internet. But freedom is the choice to do either. Freedom allows you to have a birthday party for your child. Down the street from my house, yesterday I drove by and there was a sign that said, "Pump for my daughter's birthday." That's what we have. And Tony, you gotta open the doors. Freedom allows for a parade and ceremonies over the fallen soldiers of the United States of America. According to his order, we can't do it. Tyranny. You know what? Go and tell that to a family that has had a loved one die that you can't go to a parade or a ceremony on Memorial Day. Freedom allows you to self-quarantine. And all we are trying to do is what our Constitution allows us, freedom and the right to pursue liberty and happiness. That's what we are. Thank you and God bless Wisconsin.
USA! 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 USA!
some health professionals speak.
This will be good, a health professional.
Thank you. My name is Angie, and I'm a registered nurse working at one of our local Wisconsin hospitals. I'm here today to stand up for both your health and for our freedom. I want to start out by reading a Bible verse to encourage everyone today in this time of such uncertainty that we all face. Comes from Psalm 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? No matter what you fear, may you turn to God, the giver of life and salvation. Amen! I know why you are here today. And it is not because you can't go to the movie theater or eat at your favorite restaurant or attend your favorite sporting events. You are really here because you and your family have been affected financially. You have been told that you can't go to work and provide for your family. You know that if we continue down this road, for much longer, you will no longer be able to put food on the table and pay your mortgage. And we are not buying the foolish narrative that tells us you don't care about lives and that you're willing to sacrifice people in order to make money. We reject that argument. We care deeply about everyone's health, and at the same time, we care deeply about their ability to provide for their families. Now, I would like to clear up any misinformation that may have been spread about the impact of coronavirus in our state's hospital. We have not been overwhelmed by any means. Consistently, for the last 6 weeks, the emergency department that I work in has seen a huge decrease in the number of patients, as much as a 60% decrease. Our hospital has plenty of medical and ICU beds available for patients. Our sister hospitals in the Milwaukee area are reporting these same conditions. Our management is now considering cutting back the working hours of ER nurses, something that is normally never contemplated. Because of the nature of our work, healthcare professionals are at a greater risk of contracting the virus than the general public, but none of the medical staff that I work with has been infected. Yes! I started wondering if my hospital just happened to be the only one in this situation, so I started reaching out to other nurses I know around the state and other parts of the country. Each one told me the same thing, that their hospitals were not overwhelmed with plenty of beds for patients and their overall census down.
Right.
Yes. And again, none of us are standing here today that are minimizing the effects this virus has had on our fellow citizens. It is real, and many of us know people who have contracted it, and I have cared for those who are sick enough to come to the emergency department. My heart does go out to those who have suffered through a severe case or have lost a loved one to this disease. But there are many more that have contracted the virus and only experienced mild or limited symptoms. So we must ask ourselves, are the actions taken being justified? How widespread and deadly is this virus? There have been several recent studies that evaluated the number of people that have developed antibodies to the coronavirus. One of them was done in Santa Clara County in California. This particular antibody study is suggesting that the number of people who have actually contracted the coronavirus is much greater than the numbers that are officially reported. This means that the high death rates we hear could very well be incorrect, and that far few people percentage-wise who contract this virus are actually dying from it. A study in New York has found similar results as well. We need to start looking at these statistics. Do people die from the coronavirus? Obviously they do. But the question that we need to answer is the quarantine and the consequences of it justified by the severity of this disease. And now, I must ask you, my fellow citizens, no matter where you stand on this issue, how many freedoms are you willing to hand over to the government for the sake of your health? For the sake of what they define as a disastrous health crisis. Right. We need to require our elected officials to acknowledge the devastating impacts their mandates are having on lives and livelihoods, ruining our families' financial situations in the attempt to control this virus is not acceptable. It is not the answer, and it is not the cure. Make your voice heard as we move forward in opening our economy with the lack of government interference. We refuse to let the government instill fear in us. They do not have the moral authority to tell us how and when we provide food, housing, and other essentials to our families. So I ask you, as we move forward, to operate in courage and not in fear, and to trust in the Lord God Almighty, who is sovereign in all situations. Thank you.
Well, my name is Pastor Wayne Sudlock. I've been a pastor for 45 years. What I'm about to say is going to be very, well, for the first time in my career, very, very short. So here's what I believe is important that I must do. If you're taking notes, good. The Wisconsin State Constitution, as I read it at 323.1, tells me that by joint resolution of both houses of the state legislature, they can tell the governor to stop this and order it so. Now you see, what that means is that we do have a constitution, Governor, but it also means that what I have to do is email both all my representatives and Senator State, remember, not federal. Call them. I'm going to call them. I'm going to email them. I'm going to write them. At 323.10, now if I should forget that section, at 323.10, I'll just simply say, it's in the Wisconsin State Constitution. By joint resolution of both houses, they don't have to go to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They can simply order it done. So why don't I exercise my liberties to tell them so? Thank you.
We want Governor Evers to know that churches are essential. You know, I know he did say that churches are essential, but the problem is that he's restricted how we can meet. You know, I think it was the governor from New Jersey that mentioned that he didn't even think of the First Amendment. And our First Amendment
Governor Murphy of New Jersey stated that the Bill of Rights didn't even come to his mind.
Didn't even come to his mind. And that's exactly what Governor Evers has done. He didn't even think about churches and what churches represent and how churches impact our community, how churches impact our state. And you know, it's sad that there's a lot of people that have died of suicide. That has not even been addressed. And there are many churches that have been able to prevent people from doing it. I know they have a lot of you know, suicide hotlines and things like that. But there are people that have that social connection at churches and in churches, and because of that lack of being able to come to churches or that fear of coming to church, they no longer come, and so it has impacted a lot of people because of that.
So how have the orders specifically affected Birch Street Baptist Church and also the members of your congregation?
Well, our church is no longer able to meet all together in one service. We do have the ability to meet in multiple rooms throughout our church. So our church has 17 rooms set up, and we can have 9 or less per room. It really has hampered just the being able to meet together. There's been folks that have said, Pastor, we really miss just being in church, and we want to be there. We've actually had folks that finally said, you know what, we don't care what the mandate says. We're not worried about catching any disease. We just want to be in church. And they came to church, some of them just recently even, and didn't realize that they could meet together with us. But yes, it has affected us.
Isn't it hypocritical that Christians can have more fellowship now at Walmart than they can in their own churches?
That's something that has bothered me. We, of course, living in Eau Claire, and I appreciate John Menard, and I appreciate Menard's business and the industry and all that. But Menard's, I've been able to go to Menard's multiple times since this has been going on, and the Menard's parking lot is just chock full of vehicles. And you go inside there are people everywhere. And I know there's social distancing there, but we can do that as well at church. And that's what we want to also let Governor Evers know. Hey, we can be respectful of the laws, still a social distance if that's what they desire for us to do, without causing anybody any fear or any harm or anything like that. We've been meeting since this mandate started the way we have, and we have not had one person get sick. And we're very grateful for the Lord, to the Lord for that. But that is something that we desire, is that we would be able to at least try to social distance or let the churches regulate how many people are in that auditorium or throughout their building or whatever.
Now, to people watching out there who might be scared about the coronavirus, not sure what's going to happen with the governments, with the state government and federal government, perhaps overreaching and taking away certain constitutional rights, fears of getting sick, what message of hope do you have to those watching, Pastor?
Well, one, that Jesus Christ is the one that can give true hope to everybody. And that's especially true with any person. They need to know the Lord Jesus Christ is their personal Lord and Savior. The gospel simply is this, that Jesus came to die on the cross, was buried, and rose again to give new life to everybody. And we want people to realize that I think it's 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse number 7, for God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And we want people to know that we don't have to fear, the coronavirus, I've been calling it the corona pneumonia. It's not a boogeyman that's out there to get everybody. It is a disease. I do believe it's real. I believe it actually impacted our community back in the end of December, January, and February. We think that's why our numbers are so low in Eau Claire County.
But not enough to justify a state shelter-in-place order.
But not enough to justify the entire state. I understand there's some areas where there are hot spots. I would agree with saying, hey, those areas need to be shut down for a period of time. But let's open up the rest of the state. Let's not, hamper the entire state for just a couple of counties.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And do you or your church have a website where others can learn more about it?
We do. It's birchstreetbaptist.org. The word street is all spelled out there. And we also have a Facebook group page. People are welcome to check out that. We also have a YouTube channel, Birch Street Baptist Church, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. They can check it out there as well.
Thank you so much, Pastor. This is Christian Gomez again with the New American Magazine with Pastor Tim Hallett from Birch Street Baptist Church. Thank you so much. Take care and God bless, Pastor. For those of you that are watching, this is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine. We're, of course, coming to you live from Madison, Wisconsin. There's a lot of protesters here rallying to get Governor Evers to rescind his order that extends the Safer at Home to May 26th. But, of course, you can see here, there's also some counter demonstrators as well here from the left, ANTIFA, communists, and other radical leftist organizations that want to keep the order probably going on. Maybe we could ask them some questions and see what their thoughts are. Hi, sir. Sir, so what are your thoughts about all these protesters here today asking the governor to rescind this order?
I think it's a real shame because they should be staying home right now, not just for themselves, but for everybody else around them, because them being out here is showing that we need, if anything, that we need to extend the stay-at-home order, because obviously nobody's listening and everyone's just is pretending like it's not even happening. So I think that everyone out here is a real shame and a real stain on American history.
So you think Governor Evers should extend the order even beyond May 26th because of everyone that's here today?
I got a feeling that it's most likely going to end up happening just showing that everybody's here, because it's happened before in other states where they have extended their stay at home just because everybody keeps going out. So if everyone were to stay home and show that they can handle, a year gone of their life, then I think that it would be a lot better. But no, everyone out here is imagining that there's a dictatorship and that we're being forced to do things that we don't want to do, but it's really for everybody's safety.
So what are your thoughts about countries like Sweden, where they haven't imposed a shelter at home, a stay-at-home order, and their businesses are open, people are still going out? Even in South Dakota, their governor has not issued an order like this. What are your thoughts about those places where they're allowing people to continue life as normal? Do you think that's a mistake?
I personally think that at least how people work and how it's shown that it is a bit of a mistake, because if we were just allowed to do business as normal, everyone would be dead within 5 years. And we just need to have people stay at home just for their safety and everybody else's safety. So I do think it is a bit of a shame that other states and countries have not put a shelter in place order yet, but I hope that they will soon.
Did you hear about the study that was done? There was an antibody blood test that were conducted in Santa Clara County, California, and Los Angeles County in early April, and it turns out that more people than what they thought had the coronavirus but didn't have any symptoms. So what are your thoughts about the possibility of the disease? Like some are saying, let it take its course and then we build an immunity to it and it won't be that bad later on. Do you think it's crazy, or do you think that maybe there's some merit to that should be explored as well?
I think it's complete crazy, because everyone's going to die. Or if not, look at stuff that's happened hundreds of years ago, like the bubonic plague. 1/3 of Europe's population was wiped out. They didn't have any science or anything like that. So unless we want 1/3 of even just the U.S.'s population wiped out just to save ourselves is unreasonable. We're not a sacrifice the weak to let the strong live. It's to let everybody have a chance and live. I think that there should be more testing done, because obviously if people aren't showing symptoms, then it shows that the disease is evolving. And if it's going to keep evolving, it's going to get to a point where we can't stop it. And once we get to the point where we can't stop it, we're all screwed. We're all going to die anyway. So there's no point to be complaining about how you can't get your hair done or stuff like that, or you can't go to the grocery store or you can't buy stuff on Amazon. I don't understand it.
Do you think the order should be rescinded in this state and other states when there's a vaccine? Because they're saying a vaccine could take maybe up to a year. So should we be locked down for a year or however long it takes until there's maybe a vaccine that might work or may not work?
I think what we should do is we should try to have more people, like if more people were like staying at home and doing self-quarantine and stuff like that, then I think that it would be I would think it'd be fine to reopen some places, like maybe not essential places, but like I don't know. I guess I can't think of it on the top of my head, but just like to kind of slowly reopen some more places. But since it's obviously not working, I think we should stay in a shelter in place until people get it through their heads that it's not going to magically go away if they put their hands together and they kneel and they pray and hope and say, all that crap, like stuff like that. So I think that if anything, that it should at least stay in place until we're sure enough that a vaccine will be on the way.
So I see that you have a sign, one of your patches on your jacket. You're not a fan of Trump, obviously. So what are your thoughts about Joe Biden potentially being the Democratic nominee at this point?
He's not much better. I mean, your choices right now are a fascist dictator / rapist or just a rapist. So, I mean, your choices are not very good. I still think people who vote should still vote for Bernie Sanders. I think that he would be a way better president. He's obviously shown even during his campaign and how much better he could do things. So I think that even though his campaign's done, everyone should still write him in and still try to vote for him.
So you think Bernie Sanders would handle this crisis better than President Trump has? What do you think Bernie Sanders might do differently than what Trump and other federal officials have been doing?
I think what he would be able to do is he would do more government handouts. Like for instance, he proposed a $2,000 a month for each U.S. citizen to help people get through the crisis, because obviously a lot of people are struggling. They don't have enough money to pay off mortgage and rent and all that stuff. And then also he proposed a hold on mortgage payments and rent payments and I got like stuff like that. And then also he proposed a Medicare for All plan, which would help a lot of people. Because if there's Medicare for all, then everybody can get the help that they need. But if there's Medicare for people who can afford it, then it's not going to help. Because if no one can afford it, because everything's closed, then no one's going to be safe.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Stay healthy. This is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, here with the pastor of Reformation Hope Church from Brookfield, Wisconsin, who's here in Madison, Wisconsin, at the state capitol, where many have come to protest against the governor's order that has been extended to May 26th, to the safer at home or stay at home order. Pastor, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you. One of the things that has to be understood, I believe, in the churches, and we have to teach it, is that the civil magistrate in our country is oath-bound. In other words, from Deuteronomy 1, where a sermon was preached back in 1638 by the Reverend Thomas Hooker, the issue of the oath, binding the civil magistrate to protect the people underneath his authority. That's a constitutional issue. To defy his own oath, having been sworn in to defend the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin and the Constitution of the United States, is a criminal act. In Acts 23, the Apostle Paul was before the political and religious rulers, Ananias the high priest. The high priest ordered him slapped. And the apostles said, "The Lord curse you." In other words, condemn you from office. And when they reviled him for saying it, "Do you revile the high priest?" He said, he used that clumsy English, and I'll quote it here. It's actually in the Greek. "I wist not he was the high priest." He knew it was a high priest. What Paul was saying is, he had defied his office. He is acting unjustly. He should be driven out of office. That's what he's saying. He knew who the man was. But under God, God holds a man accountable. These civil magistrates, every one of them, down to the police, each take the oath. In our system of government, each is responsible to uphold their oath. So when their superior defies the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin or the Constitution of the United States, then the lesser magistrate is the one by oath that must stand against him. That's oath-bound thinking. That's what protects us. That's how you have a constitutional frame of government.
So the police should not be enforcing any kind of order from the governor that prohibits churches from meeting then, correct?
Well, let me turn that around then on the question. Should the police enforce a criminal act? Because when he breaks his Tony Evers got his power, shall we call it his badge, his office, by swearing to the Constitution, to both constitutions, U.S. and Wisconsin. If he violates that and acts unilaterally, it is the duty of every single officer underneath him to stand against him. That's what protects us, and we need them doing that now. They think that because he gave an order that they are all underneath him, they have to obey him. That's not the way constitutionalism works. It didn't work for Kelly and My Lai in Vietnam to say his superior ordered him to kill 22 unarmed Vietnamese. It doesn't work here. He got court-martialed for saying his superior ordered that. No, the lesser magistrate is responsible. But we as Christians have to understand that the oath, as Jesus taught us in Matthew 5, doesn't make the truth value of a fact more true. What an oath does, it increases the sanctions against the one that breaks it. So if a civil magistrate breaks the oath, the sanctions against him, the higher up he goes, the sanctions are greater. It's not a greater truth value, if I can put it that, it's a greater sanction. That's what Jesus was condemning in Matthew 5 and upholding the law of the Lord in the Old Testament. We have to do the same thing in our pulpits. When a man swears by ordination like me, I'm sworn to uphold the law of the Lord and to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. By that oath of ordination and installation, it is my duty to uphold Jesus Christ as King of the universe. I cannot obey man and defy God. Our country was built on that foundation. We have to keep it. Oaths are regularly broken by those in authority. Well, let's keep this governor, hold him responsible. Let's keep him to his oath. He got his badge of office, shall we call it, so that every policeman, by swearing to the Constitution, they can't change mid-scream now.
Any final words of encouragement to pastors and Christians watching here in Wisconsin and also in other states where the same thing is happening? What would you say to those pastors right now who are looking for some hope and guidance in this time?
The word I keep hearing is love. Christ defined love by the law of the Lord, loving your neighbor, loving your God. To shut down, 1% unemployment translates into 58,000 suicides. I think that's a statistic. It's way beyond COVID. So who's getting loved here? If that statistic is true, then as pastors who teach that we have to be obedient, Romans 13, of course you got to read the whole context, because verse 3 of Romans 13 says, for the punishment of evildoers and the praise of those that do well. And Paul's quoting the Old Testament. The concept's there. The point here is love means love your neighbor, all of them. Love is not an excuse to put aside duty and responsibility, much less our King's holy word, Jesus Christ. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And again, your website for those watching this video?
Visionviewpoint.com. That's visionviewpoint.com.
Thank you so.
One other thing.
Yes, Pastor.
Wisconsin State Constitution says at 323.10 that it takes the lesser magistrates, the two houses of our state legislature, by joint resolution, they can stop this immediately in order the governor to step aside and open up the state of Wisconsin.
And hopefully the legislature will do just that, sir.
See, I'm telling you that because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go home and reference 323.10. I'm going to write emails. I'm going to make a call, and I'm going to write letters. I don't know what other people are going to do, but that's what I'm going to do.
Well, you heard it from the pastor right there. Contact your state legislator and the governor, and cite Wisconsin Statute 323.10, where the legislature
of the Wisconsin State
has the authority to stop this order now. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Oh, say